If you want to add energy and motion to your comics, there is no better way than Speedlines. Let's learn how to make them and when to use them. Hey, Walter here, doing what I can to make comics easier because it shouldn't be overwhelming or daunting to tell your story. I make videos about making comics. If that's something you're into, consider hitting that subscribe button. Today we are talking about speed lines or blur lines or motion lines or action lines, whatever you want to call them. They are great for showing speed or energy or explosions, just anything dynamic. They take a static line and turn it into pure energy. A couple warnings about speed lines though is that they do direct the reader's eye, so make sure your speed lines are pointing to something actually important and doesn't point away from things that the reader needs to actually see. And the other thing is, don't overuse them. If you're using speed lines in every single panel, they no longer have any impact and they become meaningless noise. But other than that, this video is just an introduction to speed lines. Try your own things, try new techniques, try new methods, experiment, experiment, experiment. There are three main types: parallel, radiating, and squiggles or dashes. This is what I call them. Some people may look at you like you're crazy if you start calling them this, but I figure if we all start calling them this, then who's to say we're wrong? They become the crazy ones. So anyways, parallel lines are just lines that are parallel to each other. Obviously, that means they are never going to touch. They're really great for showing action that is moving directly across the page, vertically up and down, or horizontally left and right, or diagonal. And really, none of these lines have to be straight lines. They could be curved or wobbly or whatever you come up with. Now, radiating lines are all converging to a single point. That's where all these lines would touch. Very similar to perspective lines and vanishing points, exactly the same type of creation. They are great for drawing attention to a very important object that people really need to see and act upon. They're also great for showing movement coming forward off the page or backwards into the page, or explosions, any type of action that is moving outwards from a single point. And they're also great for non-moving moments, like dramatic moments, like if a character is realizing something mind-blowing, or just that they're super hungry and someone gave them a hot dog. Also, again, these do not have to be purely straight lines. They could be all kinds of different shapes. And finally are the dash or squiggle lines. These are my favorite out of the three. These are a little bit different from the other two because they interact with the objects you're drawing instead of just being background elements. And you also have varying levels of density, anywhere from a single line to a few lines to a bunch of insane lines. You can draw these on top of the lines that you're drawing, or you can completely replace those simple lines with these squiggle lines. An entire object could become this huge mass of squiggles if you wanted. They can also be more than just a single line. You can start using shapes if you want to give it a little bit more dimensionality, kind of giving it a blur effect. And you can also draw these shapes in perspective to give it a little bit more depth and three-dimensionality. These are really great for showing a ton of speed or power, just explosive, destroying the laws of physics and art completely. Shape becomes meaningless. They are also really good for showing impact, like a punch to the gut that just rips the ribs apart. Kind of adjacent to these speed lines is motion blur, or maybe just motion lines or ghost lines. Also great for showing movements. These are just ghosted frames of movement, so if you were to capture a quick blurry snapshot as the object moved over time. You can blend this with speed lines and create some serious magical effects like a 1,000 combo attack. The best part about speed lines is that they're super easy to draw. You can do it in any drawing program, or you can just grab a ruler if you're drawing traditionally. In Photoshop, all you have to do is hold down the Shift key to draw a straight horizontal, vertical, or a 45-degree angle line. You can also hold the Shift key down and click to make a line at any angle. Clip Studio, all you have to do is create a 1-point perspective ruler. To make both radial and parallel lines, you just go to Layer, Ruler Frame, create Perspective Ruler, and then draw towards the vanishing point for radiating, or move the ruler to the side, and then you can draw horizontal and vertical lines. But it should be easy in whatever program you're using. I don't want to cover them all, or you can just always freehand them. They don't have to be perfectly straight, and actually if you draw them freehand, they might have more energy to them. Of course, just draw them on a separate layer. That way, if you mess up, you can always delete that layer. Also, it allows you to draw the lines over the characters and the objects in there, and then you can erase over the top so the lines feel connected and not disjointed. If you want to add some additional energy, try some scratchy erasing or spattering the speed lines with white. Break up those simple solid black lines to create a little bit more dynamism. Create a little more dynamism. You know what I'm saying. It also makes the lines feel a little bit more organic. There are no rules about how many lines there has to be. You could fill up the entire background with lines, or you could just have a few scattered about if you wanted. You can even fill in all of your shadows and then use white speed lines through your shadows. Nothing says it always has to be black ink speed lines. You could even create speed lines with just using color instead. Feel free to mix and match these three types or even warp them to suit your needs. There's nothing to say that they can't be really curvy to follow the movement you're trying to describe. They can go in all kinds of different directions. Speaking of following movements, let's get more people to follow this channel. Share this video in places that you hang out, Twitter, Instagram, groups, Discords, except for my Discord, of course, because I will be posting it there myself. But speaking of my Discord, if you're not a member of the Illustrati Discord yet, you should consider joining. It's a good place to hang out, tons of people. Not only do I run it, but I run it with a ton of other full-time comic creators and artists. You can share your artwork there, you can share your comics, you can ask for help, get critiques, and all of that fun stuff. The link will be down below. And for all those that do love speedlines, that are already using speedlines, who are some artists that you think use them really well? Let us know in the comments so we can check them out. And as far as for my recommendations go, I would really consider checking out the One Punch Man manga. Even if you don't like manga for some reason, the One Punch manga has these crazy action battles, and it's just super inspiring, and there's so many different ways that they're using speed lines to create movement, especially when a guy just punches people. You got to make that as exciting as possible. Other than One Punch Man, I would really recommend Daniel Warren Johnson and James Herron. And if you guys want to keep making comics easier, be sure to like, link, love, hug, and hit that sub button for more sweet, sweet goodness. Catch you in the next video. Peace.